The Anderson Industries quarterly business meeting was about to start, and my cousin Marcus was in rare form, strutting around the conference room like a peacock in his custom Italian suit. "Oh, Jessica," he called out, barely containing his smirk. "The main conference room is for actual executives. Why don't you set up in the maintenance closet? We need the space for important people." I looked down at my simple navy blazer, bought off the rack but tailored to perfection, and thought about the documents waiting in my briefcase. Documents that would turn this entire meeting, and my family's perception of me, completely upside down. "Of course, Marcus," I said quietly, playing the role they'd assigned me years ago. The family failure who couldn't cut it in the corporate world. My Aunt Patricia, head of HR and Marcus's biggest cheerleader, didn't even try to hide her disdain. "Really, Jessica, if you just finished business school like your cousins, you might actually have a seat at this table." What they didn't know was that I had finished business school, at night, while working 3 jobs and building my own investment company. While they were busy mocking my administrative position at rival firm Sterling Corp., I was quietly becoming one of the most powerful figures in corporate finance. "The closet's been freshly mopped," my other cousin Emma chimed in, adjusting her designer watch. "Should feel just like your cubicle at Sterling." If they only knew that my cubicle was actually the entire top floor of Sterling's headquarters. That the administrative assistant they pitted was actually Sterling's secret CEO and majority shareholder. And as of this morning, Anderson Industries' new owner. I gathered my things and headed toward the maintenance closet, listening to their muffled laughter behind me. The closet was small, barely big enough for a desk chair between the mops and cleaning supplies. But it had one advantage: a thin wall shared with the main conference room. Every word of their meeting would be crystal clear. "All right, everyone," Uncle Robert's voice boomed through the wall. "Today's meeting is crucial. As you know, we're expecting Sterling Corp CEO to arrive and finalize the merger details." I smiled, checking my watch. Right on cue, my phone buzzed with a message from my assistant. "Car is 3 minutes out. Ready when you are, Miss Sterling." The timing had to be perfect. For 5 years I'd maintained my cover at Anderson Industries, supposedly working as a low-level administrative assistant while actually running Sterling Corp through a series of proxy executives. No one, not even my family, knew that J.M. Sterling, the mysterious CEO they were all eagerly awaiting, was actually Jessica Marie Anderson, the cousin they'd banished to the janitor's closet. Through the wall I could hear Marcus bragging about his role in the merger. "Sterling Corp won't know what hit them. Once we acquire their assets, we'll strip everything valuable and sell off the rest." If he only knew that Sterling Corp was acquiring them, not the other way around. The merger was actually a carefully orchestrated takeover, one that would leave me in control of both companies. "Has anyone actually met this Sterling person?" Emma's voice carried through the wall. "They're so reclusive." "Who cares?" Marcus laughed. "As long as they sign the papers. Speaking of which, where's that pathetic cousin of ours? We need coffee for when the CEO arrives." I checked my appearance in my phone's camera. Perfect professional makeup, not a hair out of place. Then I sent a quick text to my assistant. "Start Operation Homecoming." The response was immediate. "Security team in position. Board members notified. Legal team standing by." Through the wall, I heard the conference room door open and my assistant's voice. "Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of Sterling Corp has arrived." I stood up, straightening my blazer. Time to show my family exactly who they'd been mocking all these years. I opened the closet door just as the conference room erupted in gasps and whispers. My assistant's voice cut through the chaos. "Allow me to introduce J.M. Sterling, CEO of Sterling Corporation and as of this morning, majority shareholder of Anderson Industries." I stepped into the doorway of the conference room, watching as realization dawned on their faces. Marcus's smug smile crumbled. Emma's perfectly manicured hand flew to her mouth. Aunt Patricia looked like she might faint. "Hello, family," I said calmly. "I believe we have some business to discuss. But first." I glanced at the maintenance closet. "Perhaps we should talk about appropriate meeting spaces for company owners." The silence that followed was absolutely perfect. The stunned silence in the conference room lasted exactly 37 seconds. I counted each one, savoring the way my family's expressions cycled through disbelief, shock, and finally dawning horror. Marcus found his voice first, though it cracked like a teenager's. This is some kind of joke. You're an administrative assistant at Sterling. Actually, I moved to the head of the conference table, the seat Marcus had been occupying moments before. I am Sterling. The administrative position was just a convenient cover while I built my company into what it is today. Impossible, Aunt Patricia sputtered, her perfectly maintained composure cracking. You never even finished business school. I opened my briefcase, pulling out my credentials. MBA from Harvard, completed at night while working 3 jobs. Master's in corporate finance from Wharton. And I laid down the final document, controlling interest in both Sterling Corp and now Anderson Industries. Emma grabbed the papers with trembling hands. These can't be real. You're nothing. You're the family failure. You make coffee and file papers. Do I? I nodded to my assistant, who began distributing folders to everyone at the table. Perhaps these will help clarify the situation. Page 1 shows Sterling Corp's acquisition of Anderson Industries shares over the past 3 years. Page 2 details how your merger was actually a carefully orchestrated takeover. And page 3. I smiled, watching their faces pale further. Page 3 shows the new management structure, effective immediately. Uncle Robert slammed his hand on the table. Now see here, young lady. This is my company. I built this from nothing. Did you? I pulled up the company's financial records on the conference room screen. Because according to these records, Anderson Industries has been losing money for the past 5 years. Your brilliant expansion strategies put the company in massive debt. The only thing keeping you afloat was the promise of this merger. A merger you thought would save you by acquiring Sterling's assets. We have contracts, Marcus insisted, his voice desperate. Legal agreements. All of which were negotiated with Sterling Corp, my company. I leaned forward. Tell me, cousin, did you ever bother to read the fine print on those agreements? The ones you were so proud of negotiating. His face went from red to white. Of course he hadn't read them carefully. Marcus had always been too arrogant to bother with details, preferring to delegate the boring stuff to others while he took the credit. The merger proceeds as planned, I continued, but not the way you imagined. Sterling Corp isn't being absorbed by Anderson Industries. We're taking over completely. Just then, security teams entered the conference room. Not Anderson's security, my people wearing Sterling Corp badges. What's happening? Emma's voice rose to a panic. Standard procedure during a corporate takeover, I explained calmly. Security teams secure all sensitive documents and escort non-essential personnel from the building. Non-essential personnel? Aunt Patricia stood up, outraged. I am the head of human resources. We're the head of human resources, I corrected her. Your position has been eliminated, effective immediately, along with several other redundant executive positions. Marcus lunged forward. You can't do this. I'm senior vice president. Actually, I held up another document. According to the merger agreement you so proudly negotiated, Sterling Corp has complete authority to restructure management as we see fit. And given your track record of mismanagement and nepotism, your services are no longer required. The security team began moving around the room, collecting badges and access cards. My family watched in horror as their symbols of power were taken away one by one. But what about the family? My aunt whispered. We're blood. I stood up, smoothing my blazer. Funny you should mention family. Where was that concern when you made me work from a maintenance closet? When you mocked my career choices? When you treated me like I was beneath you? Through the glass walls of the conference room, I could see other employees gathering, watching the drama unfold. The mighty Andersons, being escorted from their offices by security. You have 1 hour to clear out your personal belongings, I announced. My team will supervise to ensure no company documents leave the building. 1 hour. Emma's voice cracked. But my office, my things. More time than you gave me to clear out of the maintenance closet, I reminded her. Though if you'd prefer, you can work from there while you pack. I hear it's been freshly mopped. The color drained from her face as her own words came back to haunt her. One by one, my family members were led away by security, their protests echoing through the hallways they'd once ruled. Uncle Robert was the last to leave, pausing at the door to look back at me. Your father would be ashamed, he said quietly. My father, I replied, taught me that true success isn't about titles or corner offices. It's about building something real. Something lasting. Shame you never learned that lesson. As the door closed behind him, I looked around the conference room. My conference room now. Through the windows I could see the city skyline, the same view they'd denied me all these years. My assistant appeared with a fresh cup of coffee. The board members are waiting in the main hall. They're eager to meet the new owner. Tell them I'll be right there. I took one last look at the maintenance closet. And Janet? Have that closet converted into a break room for the support staff. Make it nice. Comfortable chairs, good coffee machine, maybe some windows. Of course, Miss Sterling. He paused at the door. Your cousin Marcus is making quite a scene in the lobby. Should security remove him? I smiled, thinking of all his past arrogance. No need. Let him stay long enough to watch the new signs go up. Sterling Corp should be visible from the street by noon. The transformation of Anderson Industries into Sterling Corp's newest division was swift and absolute. Within a week, every trace of my family's former empire had been erased. New logos, new management, new direction. The only thing I kept was the maintenance closet, transformed now into a luxurious break room for support staff, with a plaque that read, "Never underestimate anyone's potential." The family fallout was exactly what I expected. First came the angry calls and texts. Marcus, you vindictive witch. You planned this all along. Emma, how dare you humiliate us like this? Aunt Patricia, the family will never forgive this betrayal. Then came the attempts at reconciliation. Uncle Robert, Princess, let's discuss this reasonably. We can work something out. Emma, I always knew you were special, cousin. Remember how close we were as kids. Marcus, about that closet thing. It was just a joke. You understand, right? Finally, inevitably came the desperate pleas. We're family. Blood is thicker than water. Think about your father's legacy. I let them all go to voicemail. 1 month after the takeover, I called a company-wide meeting in the main auditorium. Every employee from both Sterling Corp and the former Anderson Industries was required to attend. My family, no longer employees but still significant minority shareholders, were also invited, though their seats were in the back, not the executive section they were used to. I stood at the podium looking out over the crowd. The contrast between my simple but elegant suit and my cousin's now slightly worn designer clothes wasn't lost on anyone. Many of you know me as J.M. Sterling, I began. Others knew me as Jessica Anderson, the quiet administrative assistant who worked from a maintenance closet. Today I want to tell you the truth about both. For the next hour I laid out my vision for the company's future. No more nepotism. No more toxic corporate culture. No more dismissing potential based on titles or family connections. Success, I said, looking directly at my family in the back row, isn't about who you know or what last name you carry. It's about what you build, what you contribute, and how you treat others on your way up. The applause was thunderous. From my former fellow support staff, it was particularly enthusiastic. After the meeting, as people filed out, Marcus approached me. His designer suit was slightly wrinkled now, his confident strut replaced by a hesitant shuffle. Jessica, he started, I've been thinking, maybe there's a place for me in the new organization? After all, I do have experience. You do, I agreed. The mailroom could use someone with organizational skills. Starting salary is $35,000 a year. He blanched. The mailroom? But I was senior vice president. And now you're not. I smiled. Think of it as a learning opportunity. You might be surprised what you can learn from the people you once looked down on. Emma tried next, tears streaming down her face. We've lost everything, she whispered. The country club membership, the vacation homes. Daddy had to sell his boat. Terrible, I nodded. Almost as terrible as being forced to work from a cleaning supply closet while your cousins mocked your career choices. Aunt Patricia was the last to approach. Your father, she began, but I cut her off. Would be proud that I built something real, I finished. Something based on merit, not manipulation. Something that will last longer than your designer handbags and corner offices. As security prepared to escort them out, their visitor passes expired. I called after them. Oh, and about those minority shares you still hold? The board voted this morning. We're buying them back at market value. But the price has dropped since the takeover. Marcus protested. Yes, I agreed. Funny how that works. Almost like someone planned it that way. Back in my office, the real one, not a maintenance closet, I looked out over the city skyline. My assistant brought in the latest financial reports. Sterling Corp's stock was up 25% since the takeover announcement. The toxic management culture that my family had created was being dismantled, replaced by something more sustainable, more equitable. My phone buzzed with another message from Uncle Robert. Family dinner Sunday? Your aunt's cooking your favorite. I typed back a simple response. Sorry, too busy running a real business. Perhaps try the maintenance closet. I hear it's quite nice now. The sun was setting over the city as I finished signing the last of the day's documents. On my desk sat a small photo of me at age 12, sitting on my father's lap as he worked in his modest office. Build something real, he'd always said. Something that makes the world better, not just your bank account bigger. I had. And if that something had also taught my family a valuable lesson about humility and respect, well, that was just good business. As I gathered my things to leave for the day, I passed the renovated break room, my old closet. Inside, a group of support staff was enjoying the comfortable chairs and premium coffee machine. They smiled and waved, no longer afraid of catching the executive's attention. Good evening, Miss Sterling, they called out. Good evening, I replied. And please call me Jessica. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's success that changes things for the better. Sometimes the person they forced into the maintenance closet becomes the one who opens all the doors. And sometimes, just sometimes, the family that tries to keep you small becomes the cautionary tale in your success story. I stepped into the elevator, watching the numbers descend. Tomorrow, Sterling Corp would announce its new employee education program, offering full tuition reimbursement for any staff member wanting to advance their education, even if they started in the mailroom. After all, you never know where the next CEO might be hiding. Maybe even in a maintenance closet,